Welcome back to Wittenberg Academy's Latin 3. We are ready for lesson 71, the demonstratives hic and illa. Hic is the near demonstrative. Hic, huius, huic, hunc, hoc. He, horum, his, hos, his. And then very similar, of course, in the feminine. Haec, huius, huic, hunc, hac. Hi, horum, his, has, his. And in the neuter, hac, huius, huic, hoc, hoc. Haec, horum, his, haec, his. So pay attention to the macrons there, the long markings. Those will help you. Of course, many Latin texts don't use macrons, but you might as well learn them now so that it may be of help to you for those Latin texts that do mark the long syllables. This is the near demonstrative, meaning this one or this one here. And then the far demonstrative, we already learned a far demonstrative is. They have two far demonstratives. We'll talk about the distinction in a moment. But that's illa, illius, illi, illum, illo. Illi, illorum, illis, illos, illis. And then in the feminine, illa, illius, illi, illum, illa. Illi, illarum, illis, illos, illis. And then similarly in the neuter, simply the nominative and the accusative there, illid. And the rest the same as the masculine, and then likewise what you'd expect from second declension endings in the plural, a, orum, is, a, is. That genitive singular is the strange form there, that Elias, and so take special note of that. Now this is kind of, one might say, that the standard far demonstrative illa, that man, that one over there. What we learned last lesson, in lesson 71, is, eus, am, ao, is more of a he, she, or it, or that one, and sometimes it can have a subtle distinction in meaning when we get to another form of it, iste, istud, but we'll talk about that when we learn that form. But it's enough to know now that hic and illa are often paired as the near and far demonstrative. And so you can see that note on the bottom of page 135. Hic refers to something near the speaker and illa to something more remote. Hic is sometimes the latter, illa the former. So in a list of things, the one nearest that you just spoke of is the latter. And the one that you spoke of at the beginning of the sentence is the former. That's very common. If you know Spanish or French or Portuguese or Italian, you can obviously see that those languages get their pronouns and their articles, meaning the. They get those from illa and illa, and indeed in French especially, if you look at the nominative masculine singular, you can tell they did it by accent. The word for he in French is il, and the masculine word for the is le. So they used illa for he and illa for the, and then eventually just dropped them. All right, so on top of page 136, the written declension like illa. Write out the declension of ipsa, ipsa, ipsum, which means self, or himself, herself, itself. So again, that's going to have a very that has that odd genitive singular, ipsius. Oh, and here it is. Iste, ista, istud. That one of yours. That has a it has a not it's often used in context where the connotation is a kind of a foul connotation. That dog of yours. Iste canis tuus, that dog of yours. So note, ipsa gives emphasis to the word with which it is used, as in Kaiser ipsa, Caesar himself. Iste is sometimes called the demonstrative of the second person and is used of something near the person addressed, and it often has a bad connotation. But they're declined the same as illa. Vocabulary. Conficio. Conficio. Third conjugation there, to make or accomplish. Crassus is a man's name. Flaccus, a man's name. Macedonia, the region just north of Greece proper, Macedonia. All right, so let's take a look at our translations. Hac classa, crassus a Gracia in Asium, his navibus flacus ex Asia and Macedonium navigavit. Hac classa crassus a Gracia in Asium, his navibus flacus ex Asia and Macedonium navigavit. So we obviously have a clause change there with the comma and his. Let's take the first clause here. Hac classa. What's hac? Where's that coming? Okay, that is ablative singular. Hac classa. So with the fleet, with this fleet, crossus from Greece into Asia, his navibus, with these ships, Flaccus, out of Asia, into Macedonia, navigavit, sailed. Now this is something that's interesting, can happen in Latin. We have two different subjects, each in their own clause, and they're each, using that third person singular verb at the end of the sentence. So, that verb in English, we'd probably write it in the plural, but they write it in the singular. So it's Crassus with this fleet sailed from Greece to Asia. With these ships, Flaccus sailed from Asia to Macedonia. Sentence 2. Huic legioni Kaiser magnum laudem dederat. Huic legioni Kaiser magnum laudem dederat. Kaiser is obviously nominative, goes with dederat. So Kaiser, Caesar had given magnum laudem, great praise, huic legioni, to this legion. Sentence 3. Copiae equestres omne hoc iter uno die confecerunt. Copiae equestres omne hoc iter uno die confecerunt. So confecerunt, that is obviously our verb. So it's they made or they accomplished. It's perfect. They made, they accomplished. What did they accomplish? Hoc iter. Omne hoc iter. This whole march. Uno die, in one day. Copiae equestres. A multitude of horse. A multitude of equestrian divisions made this whole march in one day. Hai naves novae, illae veteres sunt. Hai naves novae, illae veteres sunt. So hai, right? Hai naves novae, these new ships, illae veteres sunt. Those old are. So it is a very compact way of phrasing things. In English we would say, these are the old ships, or the new ships. Those are the new ships. These are the new ships, those are the old ships. These ships new, those old are. So, it'd be a very wooden translation to put it into good English. These are the new ships, those are the old. Sentence 5. Puella istas tabulas videbat. Puella istas tabulas videbat. The verb, the imperfect there, videbat, goes with puella. The girl was looking at istas tabulas, those writing pads, or those writing pads of yours. All right. Very good. You can read all about the triumphal arches, as you should. Some good information there about the arches that still survive in the city of Rome. I encourage you to read that over. Just a few vocabulary words, not very difficult, but again, a whole new list of pronouns to learn. And all these pronouns have just slightly different ways of declining. So Spend some time in this chapter and really learn those, especially that strange genitive singular, and then you'll be ready to proceed.